Hello, and welcome back to this channel. Today's gonna be a super fun video because first of all, it's been quite some time since I've done my last informational plant tour, so there's a lot to talk about today, and I'm actually starting to plan outside, and a lot of stuff for outside. So today's video is gonna be a lot longer than I usually do, but since I've been so busy with the ecosystem build, I have a lot of extra chores to do in here, from decolonizing more water to watering the plants to a lot of other stuff and getting seeds ready. This is going to be more of a prep day, maintenance day, I guess, and just a mix of maintenance day and informational plant tour. And I might do this in today's video, I might not. I might clean the very bottom of this fish tank, but if I do, I might as well do a water change. So I think I'm going to wait till tomorrow and let all that water decolonize, and then I'll go ahead and do that tomorrow, especially because right now I have nothing planned for tomorrow. So before we do go ahead and start today's video, please subscribe, hit the notification on all so you not miss their video, and please like this video. Now, to be honest, I don't even know where I'm gonna start, so we're just gonna start somewhere. So I need to go ahead and fill up these 3 buckets, and good news, I actually got a lot more buckets recently, so now I have 5 buckets in the room, which should really help with like gardening outdoors and all of that fun stuff. I will say, if you guys have seen my ecosystem build, and you guys did not see my latest video that I posted this morning, the ecosystem kind of fell apart because in my main ecosystem build that just came out, the dream build, everything was put together, but just a few hours after I was completely done, everything was starting to be edited. I was about maybe 10% done editing, but the back wall actually detached. So now I had an entire back wall. The bottom of it was stuck to the egg tray, so it hadn't floated up luckily, or that would have probably killed a lot of my fish, especially the guppies. It would kind of just launched them out of the fish tank. But it was kind of just leaning forward. There's probably about that much just from the wall to the back of the fish tank, which was really bad because a lot of the aquatic life found that as a great home and a great hiding spot. So I really had to do something very quickly. So I ended up just grabbing an extra bin I had because this is a greenhouse. I don't really have an extra fish tank on hand. So I had to throw everything in here. I do want to say they will only be in here for about 72 hours. I'm going to be going up to the store right after I'm done filming this video, and I'm going to buy some really strong glue. Obviously the kind of glue that's still safe for aquatic life, but to the point where the risk of it detaching once again is extremely low. So I will say, in the process of taking everything out, I was kind of forced to mix the sand and the soil. So I'm going to dump some extra soil in there, pretty much the rest of the soil, and then I'll dump that in, do a pretty good layer of that, and then I'll dump the sand on top of a pretty thin layer. So it is kind of sad to see what happened, but at the end of the day, I'll feel even more confident because at least it happened now and not like towards the middle of the video. Well, I mean, it could happen towards the end of the second video, but who knows? But I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, so I will say a lot of the stuff, all the fish were saved. Everything is good. So I just want to say that really quickly too, because I have a few people worried in my last video that I might have hurt some of the fish, and I was very careful. I was actually in here for like 8 hours every day trying to get all the shrimp and fish too. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling up these buckets, and I'll see you guys in a second once I've gotten a little bit done. Alright, the buckets are now completely full. I was actually going to film and give you guys an update when they were halfway full, but yeah. So all the plants, well, a good part of most of the plants need more water. So I'm going to go ahead and water a lot of the plants, which will probably be my bigger plants and some other stuff here and there. But after I'm done watering, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about my plan for outside, because I've really thought about it. And yeah, so then I'll also be doing the tour in here too. All right, everything is so far watered. Everything looks good. I went around, did a double check to make sure everything was running right. Everything, all the components, making the room work great, especially the aquaponics. Looks good so far. So it's pretty much a good time to go outside, and I'm going to go ahead and start kind of talking about the plan for the huge outdoor garden. So first of all, the big thing for this year is I'm gonna triple the size of the garden this year. Because if you guys were watching last year, the garden was pretty good. I will say I probably give it 6 out of 10 on a rating scale, but I will say I'm gonna go a lot bigger this year. This year, or last year, I actually had a plan where I was gonna put like a above ground pool for, to be honest, I don't even know really why. I didn't end up doing that. So I just kind of had this area empty all year. So this year I'm gonna put some huge planters, probably just the fabric ones, so I can store them really well during the winter, because the winters here are really, really harsh. So I will say I'm gonna have about 3 of those huge planters, and I might do a lot of other stuff, and I'll grow all sorts of stuff in there. I think I'm gonna plant more permanent plants in there, so I'll probably do like a row of just a ton of herbs. I might do an herb garden right here. I'll have to kind of think about it, but I don't know for sure what I do want to grow in that section. That's the thing. It's still very, very early. We just got into March, I think. Yeah, March. And we still have quite some time before I really have an idea of where everything will go in the plan. But I'm kind of getting an idea. That's the main plan. The strawberries, I'm hoping to add some more to that. And then I'm going to have to buy a tiller. And I'm going to mix all that soil together. And I'm going to mix a ton of stuff together to make that soil as best as possible. And then the tomato field will go right there. Tomato garden, I guess. And then I'm going to start, I'd say, probably 99% of everything will be germinated indoors and then moved outside later on, except the sugar peas. The sugar peas will be soaked indoors for about probably 30 hours, and then it'll be moved into pots outdoors. So that'll be pretty much the only thing I don't fully germinate inside, but I kind of do a good portion of it inside, I guess. So there's that, but I'm gonna do a lot of, well, I guess there's cucumbers too. I haven't really, so the cucumber garden is gonna go in the same area. Pretty much everything that worked well last year, like the tomatoes and the cucumbers and like just a lot of that setup will pretty much be the same. I'm gonna do a lot more potatoes this year and a lot of flowers too, so that's exciting. So let's go ahead and go back inside because it is very cold out here. So heading indoors, there's a lot going on in here, from growth to progress to some plants not doing very good. But every day is a brand new day to learn a lot more, to work with a lot more plants in aquatic life, and today's one of those really, really good days. So let's go ahead and just start wherever. First thing is kind of what I was saying earlier in today's video. I really do need to clean this because the water level is a little bit lower than usual, but that's fine. I do really need to clean some of the things, like the bubblers in there are a little bit dirty, so I really need to just kind of take the vacuum, clean up all the gravel on the bottom, and I might introduce some new things to it, but so far it's doing very well, and the entire system is doing very well. I don't know why this is angled like that, but let's try to make that good. I might try to push that a little bit more centered with the main bend, but I will say I did a big upgrade just a few days ago actually, and so that shiny thing right there is actually a really strong air pump. So I have about 7 bubblers in here throughout the entire system. There was one right here, but that one is actually being used for this currently, so that one will be eventually moved back, but right now it's going to give the fish in aquatic life more oxygen. I have one nozzle right here, and you can actually see all those bubbles. I will say the algae did start a little bit earlier than the first time I did this, but I will say that it's still fine. The algae really has nothing to do with this as long as I can keep it a little bit lower, because if the algae does get out of control at some point, I will have to do something about it. So there's that, but I also have another one right there, adding oxygen on the lower level. But it is very important that I get as much oxygen on this level as possible. So I actually have 3. 2 are running right now, and the other one is really supposed to be down there, but just what I said a second ago. So there's one right here that is giving a lot of oxygen to the entire thing, but just in case there's not enough, I have this one too. So this one's adding quite a little bit too. You can see some of the air bubbles right there. I guess I could probably push that down a little bit more into the main system, kind of like that. But that is really, really well. Very, very excited to really work with that. I have another one right there, and I have another one right there, and that's really giving a good amount of oxygen throughout the entire system. Not anything crazy, but it's good how it is so far. Yeah, so that's that. So pretty much all of these are really thriving. Very, very, very excited about all of these doing that good. So it'll just be a good, interesting journey to see if this does work, because so far I'm not seeing anything incredibly good happening. A lot of the lettuce is growing really well, and so I'm gonna have to think a little bit more, because if I do end up starting like a business from this, from doing aquaponics and just growing a ton of stuff different ways, I need to figure out how to get the lettuce to grow faster and kind of make it go through like it's not the best example, but kind of like a conveyor belt almost. Like it starts here, germination, then it starts here, which is going to be maybe grow lights. I might have a shelf dedicated for that depending on my plan, but then it'll be moved to the main system, so I might do that possibly. But I need to actually think about, because it really just depends on what I'm growing and what system I want to use for the main system. If I want to use an aquaponic system, if I want to just use soil, I'm thinking aquaponics would probably just be the best for what I'm looking for just at the moment. So I do think, like, if I do go to like farmers markets and sell like aquaponics crops, I do feel like some people might be a little bit more questionable about, like, are they really good to have? Are they really safe to have with it growing with just basically fish waste? But at the end of the day, I'm going to be doing a lot of testing throughout the next few harvests and to see if I can notice anything that's different. So far, lately, from the last few harvests I've done from this, it's done really well, and I've not noticed anything different from having it with just that. And actually, the improvement I had from having an aquaponic system versus like a hydroponic system is absolutely insane. A lot more growth than I ever expected. But let's go over to the plants and really start fully examining this. The roots do look pretty good. Pretty much all of them do. Nothing too bad happening so far. And I'm thinking my goal is I need to get these to grow as good as possible. Let them just absolutely thrive. And once they actually are a lot bigger, then we'll see how it does. But I'm thinking once they can have a pretty good root structure growing, I think it'll do very, very, very well. And I've actually had a lot of you guys comment really, really smart things actually that I've really never considered. With algae, putting like tinfoil over it or something like that, and then poking a little hole and having like the seedlings go out of that. That's actually a really good idea. Thank you to the few people that commented that. And I might consider that actually. It's tempting, but I will say I'm trying to learn it like as like I'm actually selling these crops. So when I do start my dream business, I have an idea of how to actually run it and have everything run as smoothly as possible. So there's that, but everything's doing good. I think out of all the things, cilantro might look the worst. Same with parsley, but I do remember when I did put the parsley down at the very bottom in the original system, the parsley did not do very good. It actually did not that, I think it did really bad for the first like 2 weeks, and then there's all of a sudden massive growth. I don't even know what happened there. I remember doing the video where I was talking about it, and I was like, whoa. I do feel like the roots do look a little bit worse, because I don't remember the roots really looking this bad after a week. But we'll see how they do. so far I'm just going to leave them how they are, and if I notice anything that's really bad going on, then I'll probably just replace it with lettuce at that point. But lettuce-wise, everything is doing very, very well. Oak leaf, grand lettuce, butter crunch. Let's go ahead and just check out both of these roots. I will say, out of all the plants, out of all the lettuce plants and greens I've grown in this, grand lettuce and butter crunch I've had the most problems with for some reason. I just don't know what's with those, but they just don't really like. It might just be the nutrients. I don't think they really like how much nutrients is really in it, because I've never really gotten them to really thrive in the system. But oak leaf has done very well. Tango lettuce has done insanely well. Just check out that root structure. Red ruby has been one of my number one crops, and the root structure is the best. And then I've really never worked with this gourmet mixture. I actually just opened up that package the other day ago. And then salad bowl mixture, that one looks pretty good so far too. And yeah, so it'll just be really interesting to see how these do throughout the next few weeks. And I'm still trying to figure out what to do in here while everything is growing out in the big garden. I might just do a ton of just little plants, like just growing stuff normally. Might try some new plants in here too. And yeah, so I might just turn it into a giant strawberry greenhouse, I guess. But plant-wise, these are doing very, very well. All of this shelf especially has done really well. The oregano, I will say the plant has absolutely thrived. It's flourished. I will say, I think the only reason why it's starting to die out is because the root structure under it is just really crammed. And now the problem with once the roots get crammed is the bigger plants want to win, and then they just slowly start killing off all the other little plants that really don't have as much strength to overtake that. So it's just this huge like war going on in the soil under. So that's usually why it's a really good crop to have out like side in the soil and all of that, because the roots can just grow free. And yeah, so then the mustard is just going absolutely insane. Does look a little bit worse than usual because it's been watered. Same thing with the dill, but the dill's doing very, very well also. Going down to this shelf, these strawberry plants are doing very, very good. I have noticed some red starting to form, which could be a few things. Either it's kind of like bacteria, I guess, in it, or like a fungus type of thing, and it just really kind of hurting the plants. It usually goes towards the leaves and slowly starts to kill the leaves. But it could also mean that the plant is starting to mature a little bit more and getting ready to either flower or grow a lot more. So let's hope it is that. But for the lettuce experiment, I really feel like that is not doing very well, because if you look at each kind, there's absolutely no growth besides one red ruby plant. There's one seed in each one, so that means there's not a ton of seeds, but I just really kind of think that's kind of weird. So I'm going to let that grow for about a week longer, and then I'll probably just go ahead and get rid of the plant at that point. Then, moving over here, these are the soon-to-be the biggest plants, and I actually think they're pretty much dying out. The cucumbers, they don't look as good as they really did a few days ago, but we'll see. And then the broccoli plants actually doing pretty good. More strawberry plants. These are doing well. I don't really know how they're doing because there's no germination yet, but these will take probably, I'd say, about a week and a half to a month longer before I really see anything like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff happening. But down to this shelf, this is from actual real strawberries that I ended up getting from the supermarket, and I'm starting to see some germination in there, mostly towards the back. I'm not really going to tap on it, so I don't really mess with anything. But blueberries aren't really germinating yet either, so I'm going to let those just go for a lot longer. I have 2 flower plants, California poppy seeds, and then Cosmos. Both of those are doing okay. I do feel like they are growing quite slowly, a little bit slower than I kind of thought they would grow, but at the end of the day, they're still growing, and it's nothing that I should be worried about yet. Then, I've one of the coolest plants. I actually pruned these a little bit more because they were actually growing way too much in a few spots. So I ended up kind of just bringing them down a little bit more to kind of help the root structure grow a lot more significant. Then rosemary's doing very, very well also. Very, 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 very excited about that. A lot of berries, but I'm going to have a lot of rosemary growing outside, and I'm just really excited to grow it. It'd be very interesting to see how many roots are actually in these pots, because plant-wise, they look really, really good. And I'm actually going to be doing a lot of work with trying to get as many to germinate as possible. I actually bought a lot more seeds, and I'm going to start germinating those really, really soon. I might actually start germinating them later tonight. But to be honest, it's been such a long time since I did germinate rosemary seeds. I don't exactly remember how I germinated those. I'm assuming I probably did it the same way I'm germinating the strawberries currently, but I'm going to go back to that video when I did start germinating those, and then I'll probably just germinate those the same way. But other than that, I might just do that. I might do that later tonight, or I might try doing that tomorrow or something. I'll have to kind of decide later on, but I really do need those to start growing pretty quickly, because a lot of plants will probably start going outside in 3 weeks. Is that it? Okay. Well, I've actually not really thought about it, which I probably should have. So I'm gonna have to really start germinating stuff throughout the next few days. So I've actually not ordered a single thing, which is actually really bad. I'm almost out of soil. Well, high quality soil. I have a ton of coconut coir, a ton of it, but I don't have much really rich nutrients topsoil. So I'm gonna have to order some more compost, a little bit more ingredients that would be best for that. I've actually had a lot of you guys comment kind of good mixtures to do for making your own just topsoil mix, and I really want to thank you all a lot, because that'll be very, very crucial for actually either saving money and trying to get the plants to thrive as much as possible. So thank you to everyone commenting that too. Then I have a lot of things on this shelf. I have basil, cilantro, oregano, and parsley. Or that might be, well, I think that's cilantro and parsley. You know what, let's see. Yep, cilantro. I switched those other day ago, so I was making sure I didn't switch them again. We have strawberries right there. Those are doing pretty good so far. And then I have some stuff in the back, which is going to be celery and daisies. And that'll be very interesting to see how those do. Turning around over here, we have a ton of sugar peas. Those are doing absolutely insane. And then I have tomatoes right here. Also, strawberry plants that are kind of growing hydroponically that have still not grown at all. These plants are kind of just growing out of control at this point, but they are doing very, very well. And I'm very, very excited to really work with this. Over here, I have sugar peas, and those are doing absolutely insane. Very, very, very excited about that. So, yeah, so very, very excited for all of this. It'll be very, very, very exciting to see how everything does throughout the next few months. And I'm going to really start working throughout the next 48 hours to really try to figure out what and how much stuff I want to germinate and where everything's going to go. So hopefully in the next few videos, I should have a complete plan of where everything's going to go. But other than that, I need to go purchase some more soil and start working on the fish tank. And yeah, this is going to end the video. So, if you guys like these types of videos, please subscribe, hit the bell notification on all so you not miss every video, and please like this video. If you guys want to go check out our brand new ecosystem build, that video has taken months to film, and it's very, very exciting to finally have that out on the channel. I'm very, very excited to hear what you guys think on that video. Because personally, I think it's one of the best videos I've ever made, and I'm really, really excited to really start making even better videos than that. So if you guys want to go ahead and check that video out, I'd really, really appreciate it if you would. And yeah, this is going to be the end of the video. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow when we post next. Peace.